Hey everyone. Twice in one day, right? It truly is the apocalypse. I had a couple things that I was gonna upload a short video of the planter setup I've got, and had a couple things, so I figured, what the heck, I will just jump on here, do a live stream. I wanted to, first off, before we get into some of the stuff that I've been doing, I wanted to let everyone know tomorrow I'm supposed to do a live stream. I told everyone this morning that I was going to be on with Local Prepper tomorrow afternoon. I forgot that I had previously scheduled with the Roaming Prepper over on his channel with Brian Duff. So we are going to be over on his channel tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Eastern time, or 5 o'clock Mountain time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. In that show, we're going to be talking about how to start it. You know, if you were to start prepping now, where would you begin? And I know that's something we go over all the time, and I'll try not to be boring and say, get some food. I'll try to make it a little bit more interesting than that. But it is something that is, a concern, because with everything happening these days, it's just, just stuff getting lobbed at us left and right. Also, I will be sending out an email, a reminder for that as well. And I'll be doing the show with Local Prepper here on this channel on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock Mountain Time. So tomorrow and then Friday are going to be a busy week. And then Sunday with Brian over at the Survival Prepper is going to be a busy week. But if you want to jump on the email list, just go to survivalistprepper.net. And in the sidebar, you can sign up for the prepping crash course. If you're new to prepping, I think you probably should anyway. It'll just got some really good videos in there and some tips to get started. And if you've been doing this for a while, it may, some of that stuff might interest you, and get some pointers here and there. But with that, what I wanted to do today was, I've got the links to all of that below, but I also wanted to show everybody some of the updates I've got as far as my chickens and the planting indoors. The other day, I did a video talking about my plans for starting seeds. I've never done it indoors before with a light. So I've got that I've got a little test set up for that. And then I also we went and got some baby chicks today. What I'll do is, I suppose I'll start with this. These are, and not just the chicks, but I want to show you the brooder I made as well. But these are the chicks we got today. These are, I think they're amber. I can't remember what they're called now. Golden something, and amber something else. Golden and amber. The white ones are amber. They're supposed to be really good egg layers. So we got 5 of those. I've already got 4 outside. So these will be incorporated into the flock once they get old enough. But they're going to be indoors for a couple months now. As far as the brooder and starting chickens indoors, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that. There are a lot of websites though. But they do need to be indoors for a number of weeks, a couple of months, till they're big enough. What I plan on doing, and I'll go through my brooder here in a second, but what I plan on doing is, with this brooder, the way I have it set up, a few weeks indoors until they get big enough to where the temperature isn't going to affect them a lot, probably around a month or a month and a half or so. And then I can take this whole brooder outside with me and just set it on the back porch, or, in the chicken coop to kind of keep them separated from the actual chickens. And then later on, what I'm going to do is actually build a separate compartment in my chicken coop. I played a video of that earlier this week. I don't have that clip here, but there's plenty of room out there where I can set up a little pen to keep them separated, like their own little cell, basically. Keep them separated from the other chickens while I sort of get accustomed to each other. With this brooder, I'll see if I can pause it on a frame that you can kind of see the whole setup here. And what I did with this is actually pretty good. What I did with this is just a bin from Walmart that I got, and it's let me see if I can pull this up here. It's a 66 quart bin, I believe, from Walmart. And 66 quart. And this is the set of 4, so they're not $84, but I think it was like 22, right? Something like that I paid for it at Walmart. And they're cool bins. And what I did, I originally made this about 5-6 years ago. And what I did was put this put this bin together, or created the box outside of the bin to fit exactly the dimensions of this box. So it's 20 inches wide by 40 inches long, and it's a little bit narrow, you know, for the tub on the sides, but the flexible fencing right there, the chicken wire, does a pretty good job. Just slaps right on there and it seals it. I've also got a little Pomeranian who is a squeaker toy freak. So I've got to make sure and keep this up and out of his way. I've got a big dog. I don't think he'd mess with him too much, but our little dog, and he's a mouser too. Every once in a while, like twice in the wintertime, we'll get a mouse that somehow straggles his way into the house. I still don't know how they do it. But we'll get a mouse that straggles his way into the house, and our dog is on full alert for the next 2 days until he finally gets it. And he's gotten a few of them. So I've got to keep these little squeak toys away from him. But after a while, hopefully we get, with 5 of these, we've got 4 outside. They're old ladies, though, so we'll see. You know, with the egg laying, I'm figuring with these we can get, with 5 of these guys, I'm figuring per day, maybe 3 per day, plus the older ones, you know, 1 or 2 per day. They are, you know, they've outlived their productivity. The only reason they're still around is because they're basically Lisa's little babies. But so 7, you know, 4 or 5 eggs a day, somewhere like that. That's a little bit much for us, but not really, not so much we can't handle. We can give a few away. We can eat a whole lot of eggs, and I think that amount is okay. At one point, we had 14 of these little guys, and that was a whole lot of eggs. We were basically pawning eggs off on everybody we could. So, also, in the chat, if anybody has any comments today on any of this stuff that I'm going through, or, you know, what are you doing as far as springtime to be prepared, or what have you done this week to be prepared? After I'm done with all this, if you guys want, I can stick around a little bit and answer questions. If there's nothing going on, I guess I'll just gotta go ahead and get out of here. But Walt in the chat, what's going on? Batshag Crazy, what's going on? How you guys doing? And next, I wanted to, I recently updated, like I said, last week I was talking about this, how I was going to be planting some of this stuff indoors, starting seeds indoors. And I've never done this before. So I was sort of thinking about how I'm going to do this. And this is the method that I sort of came across. What's going on, Matt? Greenhouses, chickens, and gardening all week. Yeah, sounds like me. Picking up pine needles, all sorts of different crap. But this is as far as growing seeds or starting seeds indoors anyway, this is the setup I went ahead and put together. And instead of me babbling about this, I've got a little clip here. This actually has audio. So what I will do is go ahead and play this clip and just let you guys listen to that, and it explains it pretty well. So this is the setup I decided on as far as starting seeds indoors. And what this is, so this is the setup I decided on as far as starting seeds indoors. And what this is, basically, I just used a shelf that I have some food storage stuff on. Took that off for the time being. I got this light from Amazon, and this is a jump start, which is cool because it's got a 12-hour timer. There you go. Or a 18-hour timer, or you can just turn it off and leave it on. I know I don't need the light on at this point because there's no seeds, but it does keep the temperature up, so I just leave it on for a few hours a day. I've also, underneath here, I've got the mat, and I don't know if I can pull this up and you can see it, but I've got the heating mat that I got on Amazon, and it does, it's not super hot, but it's supposed to do the job, so we'll see. Right now with this on, it's about 83 degrees, which is pretty good for starting seeds, from what I've read anyway. I've got the cellophane on top just to hold the moisture in, and then a little bit of water in the bottom here to sort of feed them up so I don't have to constantly water them. But this is the start. Like I said, the lamp and the mat, I think the lamp was about 40 bucks. I was worried that it wasn't going to put off enough heat, but it seems like it's doing okay. We'll see how it has them grow. But with the mat and the heat map, I think it was like 60 bucks. Then the little Dixie cups that I put holes in the bottom of to let that moisture wick up through there. We'll see. I've got some watermelon, some cantaloupe, some tomatoes. I'm sure the tomatoes are going to grow pretty tall in here as opposed to the other stuff. But and I've got the cups labeled. I've got some tongue depressors on the way, and I'm going to actually put those in these plants once they start growing a little bit more. But that's it for now. We'll see in a couple weeks. I'll give everyone an update, see how they're growing, see how this light's doing. If it does well, I may actually buy another one, because another cool thing about this light is you can daisy chain it, plug another light into the end of this light. Now, not the most sturdy light in the world. And see if I can get up top here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not, yeah, you can see it a little bit. Not the most sturdy light in the world, so we'll see how it holds up. But so far, so good after a couple days. But in a couple weeks, we'll see. All right, so a couple of comments in the chat from everybody. Matt here on Facebook said, we started our seeds in the tent. Yeah, I've also got the same sort of little compartment, if you might have saw it in that chicks video, sitting on the table. I'm going to take that outside and just put it where it's facing east from the house. So every morning I'll take it out and then I'll bring it back in. We'll see how that does as well. But this is more of an experiment, a test to see how this light works. I'll show you the links to all the stuff that I'm using too after I get to a couple of these comments. JK in the chat said, been doing a lot of plants, potting and foraging. Cool, foraging, yeah. Plant spotting, not potting, plant spotting and foraging. Very cool, yeah. If you don't mind, what geographic location you're in? Because there's a lot of, is it the things that will grow in the springtime, like the time of year and all that? Very cool. Amber on Facebook said, we've been doing some freeze drying meals, buying extra canning goods and gardening. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, gardening, all that springtime stuff just seems like right now it's with me, it's cleaning everything up, cleaning all the dead stuff out, moving the stuff around, getting all the stuff away from that so everything can come to life, and even more work after that. Matt said, I'll send you a pic of our setup. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, send it in the chat or something. But on Amazon here, let me pull these up. The light I was talking about is this Jumpstart light right here. And this light is, and again, like I said, it's not the sturdiest light in the world. The reviews were pretty good, so I figured I'd give it a shot. There are some reviews in there that talk about the light failing on them, so we'll see how that goes. But it's got, the reason I wanted it is because it's the full spectrum light, 2400 Kelvin, full spectrum light. And I was worried about, one, it wouldn't get too hot enough, but it seems like it's okay. And we'll see how much light it actually puts out. Some of the pictures I've seen, it's people using 2 of these lights for their stuff. So we'll see how this works. And I may get another one in the future as well if it works well. And then also, I think it was Cassandra the other day gave me an idea, or told me I should put a heat mat underneath them just to keep that soil warm, make sure that soil temperature stays about 80 degrees or so, somewhere in that range. So I got one of these, and this was like 15 bucks on Amazon. This is the perfect size for those little metal tins too that I used for the planting. So pretty cool. We'll see in a couple weeks how pretty cool it actually is, though, if it actually does work. But I think so far, we'll wait and see if they sprout, and then we'll wait to see if they get really long. I'm keeping this light probably about 2-3 inches above where they're going to start sprouting. I don't need the light on right now. The main reason the light's on is for I wanted to see what the temperature would get up to. I probably won't leave the light on until they start sprouting, and then I will probably use that timer right there, that 18 hours a day, and just let that go and see what happens. So let me see, turn this off here. Lots of buttons. Take Back America said, howdy, hey, what's going on? Matt, one other thing he said right here. I have an 8-bulb T5, only uses about 48 watts. All them skinny bulbs burn out once a year or so, and no heat. Yeah, that's sort of some of the complaints I've seen, and I'm just not sure that it's enough. I might actually go get it's basically and this may be what you have too, just a basic garage light, the fluorescent 4-foot garage light. The only problem is it doesn't fit. That shelf that it's on is a 3-foot shelf, but I suppose I could overhang it and it wouldn't be a big deal. I'd also have to get the full spectrum light or something that was, able to grow, not just a fluorescent light. That's not gonna cut it. So, what did Take Back America say here? Hands up, down on the floor. Wait, you're growing lettuce. Yeah. This is Colorado though, so some people may think that there's some other stuff going on. And, when you talk about SHTF and barter and stuff like that, or just, pure sanity reasons, I don't know. Never say never, I suppose. So, but that's sort of, I was outside. I figured while I was working on the, getting the chickens, these chicks taken care of, I would go out to the actual chicken coop and clean that out. And just looking at this picture right now, I noticed that one of their perches looks like one of the screws is loose or something. So it looks like I need to go back out there and check that, make sure it's okay. But I cleaned out their whole house. I cleaned out their egg baskets and put all fresh straw and all that in there and make them nice and happy. Even though in a couple months, once the chickens are ready to start being incorporated into the flock, I'm going to have to do it all over again. But that's life with chickens. Jayhawk said, let me see if I can pull this up here. You're in the UK. Very cool. Jayhawk said, UK, but many of our edibles are the same as Eastern US. Ransoms, Alexanders, nettles, etc. Okay, so the East. Yeah, that makes sense. Very cool. Welcome from the UK. I've seen you in the chat a bunch of times, and I don't know if I just spaced it out or not, but I didn't know that you were from the UK. And I always want to pronounce your name Jayhawk too, for some reason, because I can't read while I'm talking at the same time. Take Back America said, I can grow almost anything. Yeah, that's kind of my goal. Like I said the other day, I want to try and just figure out what I can do, because right now is the time to learn all this stuff. Granted, the electricity and growing stuff indoors, I'm not so sure that that's going to be a viable option, but I want to practice all these things and figure out what I can do, what I can get to grow, what I can grow indoors if I need to, taking this planter like I've got here. Let me pull it up. Basically it's a chafing dish. Into the Wilderness said, what's up, Dale? What's going on, Into the Wilderness? Or he just said Dale, exclamation point. But this chafing dish right here, I can carry that outside, put it on, the bed of my truck, basically faces east. That would be pretty good sunlight, or somewhere on that side of the house, and see how that grows. But that's kind of what I want to do, is get this stuff done while it's still okay to experiment and do things. I'm not so sure that, in an SHTF situation, that's where you want to gamble on being able to grow food or not being able to grow food. One other thing, maybe since I got a few of you in the chat, do any of you know, because I've been raking up, I turn this off here. I've been raking up pine needles, because in my backyard, we've just got pine trees all over the place and it just rains pine needles. Thinking about what I can do with those other than throwing them over the fence and making a huge damn pile of pine needles. I know it's not a good idea to put pine needles in mulch because they take so long to break down. I know that you can use them as in flower beds, things like that, because the green ones you can't, because those are pretty acidic. But the ones that are dead, laying on the ground over the winter, sitting there, you could use those for, laying over the plants and things and keeping that soil temperature even and retaining the water and stuff. Not the prettiest thing in the world. So I'll have to, talk to Lisa about that. But just trying to figure out what to do with them that other than just tossing them over the fence. And, I wish I had a picture. I'd show you what I was talking about. Every year it's probably 2 big 55-gallon trash bag size, contractor size yard bags full of pine needles that I have to throw away. One other thing I thought about, and again, in the chat, if anybody knows, after I'm done with the raised garden beds, I've got 5 raised garden beds. I thought about covering those with some of those pine needles, the dead pine needles, just to, one, inhibit the weeds from sprouting. Because like today I was just out there and one box is already starting to go. I don't know why weeds, 2-3 weeks before the grass even starts freaking growing, the weeds are all sprouting and taking off. But if anybody's got any ideas on that, and if you're watching this later on and you've got any ideas, let me know. But just trying to figure out what I can do with that. I know that basically it'd be cool to be able to smother the weeds. I've got this little lined rock thing in my backyard. It basically lines the fence. Gets weeds in it every year, and I'm out there picking weeds. I'm half tempted to just cover that with pine needles this year so I don't have to dig any of that out. But batshit crazy, I can't even read that. I'm not even going to attempt that. I will put it on here just so everybody else could see, but yeah, what he said basically. But Yardbirds in the chat said here something about pine needles. Let's see what he's got here. Not just pine needles. Don't put anything green in your mulch, leaves, grass, etc. Yeah. I have heard that you can put, and like I said, I don't know if this is smart or not, but instead of putting the pine needles, like if you're going to put pine needles in your garden, it's better for like in between rows. If you do the row garden thing, like rows of corn, you can walk on, and it's good for weed mitigation, but not directly on them. But I have heard if you want to put something around like plants, like tomato plants, viney plants, things like that, use grass clippings. I have thought about that as well. But again, like Yardbirds is just saying here, not so sure. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. Into the Wilderness said, my concern with pipe needles as a ground cover is that you don't see anything growing under a pipe tree. And they are mild toxic. A pipe tree, is that what you guys call them out there? Or are you trying to say pine tree, or is that is that actually what you were trying to say? Because you did it twice. So, I mean, I've got behind my backyard. So I've got one tree that hangs over into my backyard, and then behind that is where the back pasture is for the horses. And there's a sort of in between run right there. Pine tree. Okay. I thought you guys had some weird slang out there. Watch me start calling them pipe trees now. But I have, there is probably a foot of just on top of years and years worth of pine tree growth. It's far enough away from the house that I'm not too awful concerned about it. But it's so deep, so thick, and it's really tough. That's one thing about pine needles, really tough to actually shovel and move that stuff, especially once it's all matted down and compacted and all that stuff. So just curious. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, it's the prepper in me, right? How can I reuse this? How can I use this for something rather than just tossing it out? I know you could probably put it into bundles, make fire starters out of it. I'm not so sure about putting pine needles in a fire when I'm trying to start it, because I know they smoke a lot. I know that pine cones are a bad idea, because when I was growing up, we used to use those, and I used to call them hippie grenades, because you throw them in the campfire and they explode all over the place. Pretty fun when you're a little 13-year-old kid. My grandma wasn't too happy about all that though. But Yardbirds in the chat here said the best mulch, in my opinion, would be a dried hay. A quick, thick layer. Yeah. We also have the chickens. I was just digging, cleaning out the chicken coop a little bit today and digging down probably 2-3 inches. And it is black. I was going to get a picture and I forgot about it, but it is black dirt. It's beautiful. It's It's like prepper gold. It was really beautiful dirt. So I could take, I'm probably going to dig down a couple inches in that chicken coop and then grab some of that dirt, use it for the garden, use it for, I've got my pond back there, which we've got some flowers, and Lisa's got some flowers in front. Use that. We have also got, Into the Wilderness said hippie grenades. Yeah. My grandma hated those. As us kids, me, my brother, and my sister, and my cousins, it all start tossing them in the fire, and it just make a ruckus. But we've also got the horses, which I mentioned this the other day when I clean up. Lisa piles all our stuff behind the barn, and then I get my tractor out and I take it down to the bottom pasture and just lay it down there. I've probably put over the years a couple feet in there. So I'm sure that if I dig down and get into that, that's going to be pretty good dirt as well. So definitely got enough, good stuff, as long as I know you're not supposed to put like new chicken poop dirt, I guess is what it is, that hasn't quite turned into soil yet. You're not supposed to put that on, in gardens and stuff like that, because that can just jack things up. I'm sure it's maybe not as bad, but I'm sure it's probably the same thing with horse poop. I don't know what exactly, when horses go, it's not like there's a lot of digestion going on. It comes out looking almost like it went in. So I don't know if that matters or not, but I'm not chancing it regardless. Pine needles, Take Back America also said pine needles are also slippery as mulch. Yeah. And they just don't, to me, maybe that's just in my head. I see the pine needles dropping and I got to clear them all off. So I see it as something I got to clear out. To me, it just doesn't, or it looks lazy, right? We've got the garden, which Lisa likes to put the mulch back there and the flowers coming up. And if you got a bunch of pine needles on the ground, it just kind of looks like I was too lazy to rake or something like that. So, at any rate, anybody in the chat that missed earlier, one, what have you been doing to prepare? You doing anything this spring? And then two, tomorrow's live stream. Like I said, I'm trying to do Thursday live streams. But tomorrow I had I pre-scheduled a show over on the Roaming Preppers YouTube channel. And I'm going to be doing that with Brian Duff from Mind for Survival. I do the show with Survival Preppers with him. We're going to be talking about some beginning prepping stuff, where to get started with prepping. We're also going to be talking about where things are headed, in the next, month, year, whatever. Everything changes so quickly these days that, you just never know from one day to the next. So, should be a blast of a show. All three of us together. Who knows how that's going to go, but, should be a lot of fun. And if I'm going to be sending out emails for that, and I'll be sending out emails every Thursday when I do a live stream. So if you go over to survivalistprepper.net, you can jump on that email list there. There's a sidebar, thing in the sidebar that says it's the bug out location. I think it's the prepping crash course. Just sign up there. You can, if you're new to prepping, you can watch some of those videos and get some good tidbits out of it. If you've been doing this for a while, you can still watch the videos. You just might, all of it might be, or some of it might be, old information. Yardbirds here said, I keep forgetting to turn off the chat thing. Just make sure you're adjusting the soil pH, the water pH, to accommodate whatever you're trying to grow. Yeah, that's the tough part of gardening. And that's one of those things where it's the learning process, because it's not like, like I used to think, basically, of just throw some stuff in the ground, see what happens. That sometimes I do that, but you really do have to pay attention to what you're growing, what you grew in a certain spot last year, which takes some of the nutrients out, what you're putting back into the soil this year. So there's just a lot of people don't quite understand what goes in to gardening. They just kind of think it's super simple. A lot of people, it's go to Home Depot and buy yourself a tomato plant and put it in the ground. That's what a lot of people do. But yeah, it's definitely a learning process, and there's a lot more to it than I thought, 10, 15 years ago. Into the Wilderness here. I think this is the one I got. Yeah. Fruit trees are blossoming beautifully and the bees are abundant. Should be a good season here. Yeah, bees aren't all, they're around. They're not around as much as I'd like, though. They weren't last year anyway. we've got a couple pear trees. We've got a pear tree that is not, I mean, it's growing, but it's been 6-7 years now, and it's probably 4 feet tall. It's got leaves. I think there was one bloom on it last year, and that was it. So it really hasn't done much. But we planted 3 different apple trees last year, 3 different breeds of apple trees, because you need the different breeds to, I guess, pollinate each other or something like that, and the bees. But we're going to see how those do this year. Those are pretty small, but we didn't just buy them from Walmart. We actually paid for some that were better quality. Doesn't guarantee a damn thing, but hopefully. But with the bees, that's another good point too, because you need those. Granted, you can pollinate yourself, but for like cucumbers and things like that require bees and other insects to go from the male flower to the female flower, you need the bees for things like that. And that's what, people don't understand about how and why bees are so important. It's not just the honey, but they do all of that work for you. Now, granted, you can do that stuff, and I've done that. I tried to grow cucumbers a couple years ago, and I was out there trying to figure out first which is the male flower and the female flower, and then smashing them together, being the surrogate for the flowers. So, a couple more here. We're scrolling through here on me. If I can get this, there we go. Take Back Mayor said, my new neighborhood in New York City thought he would be a gardener like me, a 52-year-old Florida native. He thought it's Florida. I just tossed these seeds in the ground. Yeah, a year later he moved on. Yeah, I think that's going to be, that brings up something, as far as some sort of disaster situation, SHTF situation. There's going to be a lot of people that have no idea about how to do that. There are probably a lot of preppers that have the survival seeds, right? The buckets of seeds, but don't really understand how to do this stuff. And if you do, and you have that garden growing, that sort of, in a situation like that could very well make you a target. If we're growing corn, something like that, something that grows tall, that is going to be, sort of a sore thumb sticking out. Now there's a book out by, I can't remember who it is. I'm sure you guys know who it is. The food foresting. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's the Survival Mom, her husband, Jane and Rick Austin, it's his survival garden, which basically, and he's got a neat setup. He's got all sorts of berry bushes and just so different things. It just looks like you're walking through some kind of overgrown area, but it's all food. That's something I think that, if you have the means to do something like that, would be very beneficial. Now, behind our pond here, like I said, we've got just a small pond, but there's a little area behind there, and that's where we're putting the trees. That's where we're going to try to grow some raspberries. I've even got some asparagus out there just because I wanted to see what would happen with asparagus. It takes a couple years, but we'll see how that goes. Let's see here in the chat. You have a pollinator chart. That's kind of cool. Because with me, it's just, look it up. Every time I have a question about something, I look it up, and then I never write it down. So then I have to look it up again. So a couple more into the wilderness. Microgreens in jars in your south-facing windows. Yeah, see, unfortunately here, actually we do have... No, we have a west-facing window. No east-facing windows. And the north-facing window, I believe I got to get my directions here. No, the south-facing window, we have the awning on the front porch, so that's not getting anything. So our house is not very conducive for growing stuff indoors. So that's why I've got to figure out this downstairs I don't know if I call it hydroponics or what it is, just a grow light, basically. I know it's not hydroponics. I know it's definitely not aquaponics, although that's something I had wanted to look into as well. That's just there's just a whole lot that goes into that. Not only you got to keep the plants alive, you got to keep fish alive to keep the plants alive too. So a couple more, and then I think I'm going to get out of here today. But JK said, we foraged for wild garlic ransoms with root last year and planted some in the shade, and they're growing again this year. Very cool. Wild garlic, that'd be kind of cool. Never had anything like that. Garlic is something I want to grow too, because garlic is one of those things that is just, it lasts super long. It's not really hard to store, and it's just good on everything. I was watching a video, an older video from Doug and Stacy Off Grid, and she was making some sort of medicine. I can't remember what it was, but it was basically honey and garlic, and you just let it sit in there and stew together for a few weeks, and just the properties of those two together are just fantastic. They have a lot of really good videos on that medicinal stuff and growing your own food. Just a fantastic channel for that type of stuff. And that's Doug and Stacy's Off Grid, I believe is what that's called. More of the wacky stuff. Just grow the wacky stuff when you can trade for whatever you want. Then you can trade for whatever you want. Yeah. I've thought about that, but at the same time, you get that type of person that you're trading with. And not to say that anybody that smokes weed is that type of person, but in an SHTF situation, anybody that is willing to barter for booze, barter for, any sort of, maybe medications, I could see something like that, but barter for recreational drugs and stuff. And actually, weed has medicinal values as well. So you never know, but I would always be leery about that. Now, I suppose it would depend on, like, are they bartering ammunition? They giving me ammunition or something like that for weed? Are they giving me food? Are they giving me those staples that they're going to need? That would give me pause whether I wanted to trade with them. Although if they gave me all their ammunition, maybe there's not a whole lot I have to worry about, right? I don't know. I'm just joking here, but also plants definitely need a certain amount of sun. I see people trying to grow in the shade. Yeah, we've tried. A couple of years ago. I'm not super proud of this or anything, but we've got a south. I believe I can't remember my directions anymore. I'm going all over the place. We've got our kitchen window that does not face east. I know that. We've got our kitchen window, and we've put some stuff in there before, and it grew, but it didn't take off like it was supposed to. And they got really long because when there's not enough sun, they get really long, and they're trying to reach for the sun, and they don't grow very strong. So we'll see how all of this stuff lasts into the wilderness. Never trust ammo. They can be duds. Yeah, I suppose they could. I've got this tin behind me right here. Is a tin full of 40 caliber reloads. And I tell you what, when I go to the range, about 1 every 10 of them fail on me. So maybe that will be, and that's why it's sitting there and it doesn't get used. If it's a SHTF situation and it's some sort of, something happens where I have to, I suppose it's better than nothing, and I'll cross my fingers, and I don't have to sit there and unload and reload and get the jam out. But hey, you want some ammo? Here you go, buddy. So at any rate, not my favorite ammo. It doesn't go with me to the range anymore. I take other stuff, the more expensive stuff. It's so damn expensive to go to the range anymore these days. But also, that reminds me, in the next couple weeks, I haven't pinned down a date yet, but I've got a firearms instructor that's got a YouTube channel here, and I wish I could remember what it was called. Give me 1 second. I know this is this is really unprofessional, but he's I can't see without my damn glasses. He's got a YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. Defenders USA, but he's got a YouTube channel, and I'm going to have him on the show in the future. Adam Winch is his name. And he's got a YouTube channel, and what I want to do is get him on the show and just pick his brain about all this stuff, because it's fun going out plinking at targets and stuff like that. But getting an ex-law enforcement officer, their point of view on the subject, and even the Second Amendment, and getting people educated about all this stuff, I think is a really good idea, especially these days when there's such a focus on just, disarming the population and all that. So That is going to be a fun show. I'm in conversations with him right now, trying to line that up in the next week or two. But that'll be fun. Friday, I've got the Local Prepper who's here on YouTube. He's got a cool channel as well. You can go check him out. Just type in Local Prepper. Like I said, tomorrow I'll be on with the Roaming Prepper. Me and Brian will be on, and we do our Survival Prepper show as well. And then I'm going to have Kevin Ryder on, and we're going to talk about some solar panels, solar setups, basically, from, you know, the really intro type level stuff to a little bit more of the advanced. Not super advanced, but, you know, a little bit more of the advanced. Although Kevin really does know his stuff. So if anybody is watching that and they have some questions about that stuff, he can go all nerd. He can nerd out with you, and I'll let you guys go, and I'll just, you know, get all glossy eyed. So, yeah, exactly. Yardbirds live TV. I just kind of do whatever the heck I want there. So try to put instead of having my ducks in a row, I just pull my phone up and show you exactly what's going on, show you the email and everything. But at any rate, everyone, we've gone for 40 minutes now. I was going to do like a 20-minute video just to show everybody what's going on. But we've been like 40 minutes now. One more comment, Into the Wilderness. Very good comment. Masad Ayub is got an awesome channel, is an awesome dude. I've got live TV. I've got his book right here, Concealed Carry. Really good book as well. Yeah, he is definitely one really smart dude. He's been on the Angry Squirrels Project. It's a podcast. And he was on their show a couple times. Just a really good guy. Really knows his stuff. Really knows his stuff. And the legalities of everything. I mean, all those things that we need to think about as preppers. And just gun owners, being responsible gun owners in the first place. And those are all things that I want to go with, talk about when I have him on the show. Not Masad, but Defense USA. I can't even remember his name right now, and it was only like 2 minutes ago. That's me getting old, man. It's all going. I need everything written down right in front of me, and notes and lists and all that stuff. But at any rate, that's it for today, everyone. I appreciate you all joining in, listening to me ramble. Like I said, we're going to have some guests on here in the near future, so it's not just going to be me rambling about for 45 minutes. I am going to be doing the morning shows where that is sort of just a spur of the moment. If I see something, you know, a good article from a prepping website or current events, news that just happened that affects our ability to prepare or how we prepare. I'll be talking about those, but those are a little bit less scripted. The afternoon shows, the Thursday shows, those will be more scripted. So, and again, if you're not on the email list, I'll send out reminders. I'm a little bit better about it than YouTube is. So it's a little better to get on the email list when we do those shows. I'll send an email out. Just go to survivalistprepper.net, jump on that list there. But, everyone in the chat, thanks for all the comments tonight. Into the Wilderness, Take Back America, Yardbirds. I know there's a couple people I'm forgetting because your name scrolled past. There's one on the tip of my tongue, and I was going to say Jayhawk, but I had to find your name. JK25, appreciate you joining in from the UK tonight. But at any rate, everyone, appreciate you all joining in. Tomorrow, like I said, I'll be on the Roaming Preppers YouTube channel, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. JK, I don't know what the heck time that is where you are, but probably somewhere in the middle of the night. You'd probably be sleeping. But and then, well, you're not sleeping now, so maybe you won't be. I don't know. But at any rate, take care and prepare, everyone. We'll talk to you all later.